Hey guys, it's Noelle. Welcome back to my channel. This time I'm here to talk to you about the Fitbit Ionic. I got this about a month ago to review and I was so excited because I'd already written about the Ionic previously in a blog post. I was so excited to get my hands on an actual unit. So the Fitbit Ionic is Fitbit's most advanced device up to date. Of course, I use this with my Samsung Android smartphone, but yeah, it's supposed to work with other OSs as well. So if you're using it with the GPS that's built in, it's about 10 hours. Or if you're playing music on it, then you get 10 hours of battery life. But it's also got up to 5 days of battery life, which is true. I tried it. I kind of forgot to charge it and it was still alive after 6 days. One of the things I really love about Fitbit is that it really helps me track my resting heart rate, which helps me determine whether I'm resting enough or if I'm working out too much. You can store music on the Fitbit Ionic. I mean, like if you've got downloaded music from iTunes or from other sources, or if you've got CDs and you've ripped the music into MP3s, you can store them physically on the watch, which is pretty cool. You can play more than 300 songs on the device, so it's 2.5 gigabytes of storage just for you. Now obviously, the Ionic also has everything you love about Fitbit, like the steps tracking, your calorie counter, sleep stages. It still also has that app, the Calm app, so you can use it to help guide you through some moments of relaxation. I was running the Takbo.ph Women's Stride virtual run for the entire month. I was testing the Fitbit Ionic, which means that I was trying to hit 50 kilometers total to get my my entitlements, like my finisher shirt and my medal. So I ran 50 kilometers total with this watch, and so I really got to know it a lot. Most of those kilometers were on a treadmill, so I was happy that Fitbit actually had a treadmill option on the watch. I also used the Fitbit Ionic on outdoor runs, and the GPS was pretty accurate as well when it came to distance and speed. The Fitbit Ionic works with Strava, so you can either use the Strava app on the Ionic to upload your workouts directly, or you can link your Fitbit application to the Strava application, and so anything that you record that with your Fitbit Ionic gets ported to the Strava app. And I saw this happen with the outdoor runs. So I ran twice outdoors within the twice outdoors within the whole month, and I saw both those runs get ported over to Strava, no problem. Where I found a little bit of difficulty was recording the treadmill runs into Strava. Now everybody knows that Strava app doesn't have an indoor runs or treadmill runs recording option, and the same goes with data ported from Fitbit into Strava. It just wasn't reading the treadmill information and putting them on Strava. So if you look at my Strava page, it'll have the outdoor runs up there but none of the indoor treadmill runs, which was frustrating because I was tracking those treadmill runs and actually counting the kilometers in those treadmill runs towards my 50k virtual run total. What I had to do to validate my run total for the virtual run was I had to actually go into the Fitbit app, go into the treadmill run session, and then kind of screen capture it instead of going to a Strava page and seeing all those runs there. It was clunky. I made it work, but hopefully in the future Fitbit and Strava can work together to make sure that the treadmill runs get read also into the Strava app. Overall though, the information that's displayed on the screen of the Fitbit as you're doing the run, it's the vital information that I actually like getting from my other GPS or sport watch devices, like pace, distance. One thing that the Fitbit Ionic has over my other sports watch is that it can read heart rate data right off your wrist, versus the other one where I had to wear a strap across my chest. So yeah, I really like that freedom of not having to worry about chest straps and chafing under there, but rather having it read right off my wrist, which is what Fitbit does really well. This was only read into the Strava app if I was doing it on an outdoor run, so I have absolutely no data on my treadmill runs and how efficient I was at them and how I can improve on them, because I can't analyze those treadmill runs within Strava. Now when it comes to swimming, I wore the Fitbit and my other sports watch concurrently on both wrists and swam with them. This is my Alta HR. It's splash resistant, but you still can't put it in the water. The Fitbit Ionic completely blew me out of the water because you could actually submerge it, and it's rated for up to 50 meters. The Fitbit Ionic tracked the laps and counted the number of laps that I did very successfully. On my other watch, I had this little button that enabled me to press it so that I was recording a rest interval, and then I would press another button to go again into another interval. So that enabled me to use my other watch to see how long the rest intervals were and then how long the actual swim intervals were. The Fitbit Ionic, there was no option to do that, so I was just basically swimming and then I stopped, waited for the rest interval, and then I went again. So it was kind of, I'm not even sure if the pace recorded on the Fitbit Ionic was correct or not. But overall, if you were not really concerned about the speed that you were going at, but really just making time in the pool and trying to get 20 laps in, 50 laps in, then the Ionic sensors were really good in detecting laps and when you'd finish them and when you'd start another one. But this only applies for freestyle, because I tried using the Ionic on a kick drill where you're not actually using your arms, so it was a kick drill, and the Ionic was not able to record the number of laps that I'd done. It did mention that you could store music on it, but you can't use your Spotify playlists on it just yet because Spotify hasn't built an app for the Ionic yet. I couldn't use my dozens of Spotify playlists on the Ionic, and it was quite sad because I think that's one of the only reasons I bring my phone along on outdoor runs, is because I connect my Bluetooth earphones to the phone so I can listen to the music. And if the Ionic could store the Spotify music on the watch itself, then I would have even less motivation to bring my phone along on runs. Our latest update has the Deezer app on the Ionic, so if you've got a Deezer subscription, then perfect, you can sync your music or your playlists to the Ionic. What I really liked about the Fitbit Ionic, and that's because I'm a major nerd, or I just love, you know, kitschy things, is that I was able to change the clock face. The Fitbit app allows you to change the watch faces, and I was able to change it to this 80s inspired thing, which I just absolutely loved having on my wrist for the entire month I was testing the watch. With older versions like this Alta HR or my old Charge HR and Charge 2, I couldn't really customize that watch face, but since the Ionic is a smartwatch, you can do absolutely anything with that watch face. If you can actually, I don't know if you can design your own watch face, but if they've got a really good library of existing watch faces already. Also, the Fitbit Ionic's wristband can be swapped out with other color wristbands, which Fitbit also sells. It's not been on the market long enough for third-party wrist strap brands to come up with their own designs, but I'm pretty sure that eventually you're gonna have wrist strap designs that will really help you express yourself. What I did test it for is really how good of a sports watch it is and could be, and I really liked it. I mean, I didn't have to be that chucklehead who wears a Fitbit on one arm and another sports watch on the other arm. I could just use one. But it's got a bit more to go to when it comes to data recording. Like I said, the issues with Strava and with data display when it comes to swimming. If you're just starting out and getting into sports, you do a little bit of swimming, you do a bit of running, you do a bit of gym work, which the Fitbit Ionic can also record, then the Fitbit Ionic is such a great watch to own. If you've already owned a different Fitbit device, you can use the Fitbit Ionic concurrently with it, which is always great when you can use one single constellation, one single galaxy of what do you call it? Ecosystem. When you can use one ecosystem of products and you don't have to port from one to another. Oh, it was heaven. I can have my sleep data, my heart rate data, my exercise data, all in one ecosystem in Fitbit, and I really felt that with the Ionic. If that was everything that I needed for my sports and active lifestyle, then I would say that the Fitbit Ionic is the perfect smartwatch for you. Now, if you have any other requirements, like if you really need to see your swim intervals and your rest intervals on the swim, if you need to get cycling data like power off your bike, then you might find that the Fitbit Ionic still has a bit of a way to go before it gets there. Okay, the good news is that Fitbit is still constantly updating its firmware. Shortly before my testing period ended, I saw that an update was available, but I just didn't update my watch's firmware to it. When I did, I saw that a lot of the button functions had changed, and so I really think that Fitbit will be able to get all those things I mentioned that they need to do. They can put that in the watch at some point in the future. I really hope they do, because everything else was super great and it would have been my perfect watch if it had all those things. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the Fitbit Ionic. If you like this review, if it was informative for you, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'm updating this every week with at least one video. So I've got a lot more to show you. Thanks guys! See you next time!